Audio Jungle.
World's 9 highest earning sportswomen in 2020 were tennis players. Undubusui Egbo makes history. Koeman vows to put Barca back on top. EPL fixtures for 2020-2021 season are out. And a preview of Sevilla versus Inter, the Europa League Final. These are some of the stories ahead of this edition of your number one sports podcast, which begins in a moment. All right, we are back now, and let's dive straight into it. We're going to go straight into our conversation for today and everything we have in store. So, Barcelona's new manager, Ronald Koeman, says he will fight to keep and put the Catalan club back on top. The 57-year-old Koeman, who had been in charge of the Netherlands since 2018, replaces Quique Setien, who was sacked after the Catalans were humiliated 8-2 by Bayern Munich in the Champions League quarterfinals on Friday. He becomes the 5th Dutchman to coach Barcelona after Michels, Johan Cruyff, Louis van Gaal, and Frank Rijkaard. If the reports are true, one of Koeman's first tasks will be to keep Lionel Messi at the club. Now, joining us is a sports commentator to help us make sense of this discussion, Titus Bankole. Good morning, Titus.
Good morning, Jimbo. Good to hear your voice this morning, and thanks for having me.
All right. Thanks for being a part of the show. And we are going to go straight into it. So, first off, what do you make of the reports about Messi wanting to leave Barcelona?
Well, Messi's case, or the case of Messi leaving Barcelona, didn't just start this season. We've seen this, pop up any time there seems to be a displeasing performance for Barcelona, and then you see Messi having few words to share after such horrendous, season or match or games of competition. So I think for this particular time or period in Barcelona, it's quite obvious that there is a serious need for change, and one of them will be to overwhelmingly satisfy the Argentine, because you cannot rule out the fact that in the past decade or more years that it's been single-handedly writing the history of Barcelona. And so when this report about Messi leaving comes to play, you begin to wonder if it really will happen. But, well, in my opinion, I think it's just one of those periods, and I'm not sure it's a certain move. With the appointment of Koeman now and other promised changes by club leadership, we could say that one or two things will be promised to the Argentine, and they haven't staying for one or two more seasons. As it seems right now, we just have reports of teams trying to reach out to the Argentine. They're not serious bids, and of course, when you have these happening around him, I'm not sure Lionel Messi will be making that move this season.
So Koeman has said he will stick to his preferred Dutch style of possession-based football. How do you think this will play out for the season? What are you expecting from Koeman and his style of play for Barcelona this season?
All right. So one of the things that I found quite worrisome about his comments since taking the job would be the fact that he mentioned sticking to Dutch style of football. Now, however, how ridiculous that sounds to a lot of people, I've got nothing against it. As long as Koeman is aware of the tactical evolution taking place in football, and is willing to make it more dynamic, because to sound quite odd, if they're telling us that it's the same purported Cruyff style of football or Dutch style of football that some managers who have left Barcelona with that result claim to be seeking to, and has given nothing, except Koeman wants to tell us in detail that it's a Dutch style of football, but I'm going to tweak it to meet modern trends and modern demands, especially with how players are developing in football these days. It is willing to go in that direction with dynamism injected into that style of play for Barcelona, then I completely will have nothing against it. People, you'll agree with me, we've seen several, changes to even the German style of football, which has become even more menacing, and it's even resulted in the lack of fire in the neck. So, no one has got anything against a particular style of football, as long as it can help your side compete well and you can get results.
Totally. I very much agree with you on that one. Now let's move to England. The fixtures are out for the 2020-21 EPL season, and some of the curtain raiser games include Liverpool facing Leeds United. Arsenal will play Fulham in the London Derby. West Brom will play Leicester City. So Leeds are back in the Premier League after 16 years, and quite a number of us, could remember, the feats and achievements Leeds pulled, back in the day, yeah. So what are your predictions for opening day, especially, with Leeds coming back, and, all how promising, they seem to be?
I think, first of all, it's unfair, but after 16 years, the fixtures won't allow Leeds United to come breathe the Premier League air.
It's like a baptism of fire, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, I think it's just an opportunity for them to, test their mettle as they have achieved Premier League football after 16 years. And I think they've got a couple of things going for them in the sense that they've got the experience Bielsa, who made this particular return to the Premier League possible for them since joining in 2017, I suppose. And of course, I think with experience and a couple of additions between now and the resumption of the Premier League season, they could have a good run in the Premier League. But going to their chances in the open day fixture against the champions Liverpool, who also may have, or which they could have, a couple of additions and interesting moves as well. Also be looking to start their defense title on the high. So I think it's a very perfect match a day opener, because both teams will start that campaign with some sort of points to prove. Although a lot may say it will be early to start talking about points, but we know in recent times in the Premier League, your first fixtures, they go a long way in determining the right psychology and, of course, belief you want to carry into the season.
It will be the champions of the EPL playing the champions of the championship. You could never take the importance away from that fixture. Definitely. So the curtain raiser is usually the Community Shield. It means the EPL champions Liverpool will play the FA Cup champions Arsenal, and in the last Arsenal are yet to lose their last 4 Community Shield games that they've played. They've won the FA Cup now 4 times, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. How do you see this one playing out?
Well, Arsenal are a club in the Premier League to be one known to have different several reputations. One of them is the FA Cup, the FA Cup Kings. I'm hoping that in the time to come, after the competition will be named Arsenal's FA Cup, and and of course the best. How would I put it now? Best sort of utensil to eat with is also the Community Shield. They like their food being served on the Community Shield. So I'm going to want to hand this one again to Arsenal. There are just certain things they're very good at. And I think the Community Shield, the FA Cup also, I think this may go to Arsenal because they need to start their season again, hopefully, to give their fans one or two things to look forward to. For Liverpool, they don't want to fancy their chances, but I just thinking because of Arsenal's reputation in the Community Shield, it won't be any different outcome for the Gunners.
All right, so after a long season in European football, we are now nearing the end with the final of the Europa League to be played later today. Inter will take on Sevilla. The Spanish side are recent experts of sorts in this competition, winning it in succession between 2014 and 2016. But this is a different Sevilla, Titus. Their manager is yet to win a trophy as a manager. That's Lopetegui. Inter, on the other hand, were last year in 1998. Antonio Conte, who is now in charge of the Serie A side, has recently been successful on his part with Chelsea, winning the Premier League in 2017 and the FA Cup the season after. How do you see this one playing? How do you see this playing out at the end of the day?
With all sincerity, I want to give this particular final to Antonio Conte's Inter. And not because of Conte's reputation in total, but how well he's been able to influence this Inter team since coming back to Italy. Remember, it gave such an interesting push for the Italian league, but unfortunately, his plans were struck with a lot of inconsistencies and in some certain departments and injury woes of players. But the interesting thing is, he's been able to navigate the UEFA Europa League despite everyone falling into the bubble. And then he's out, and the sort of football Inter have been playing in the Europa League is such that you could know or to see that it's quite evident that Conte has got a full grasp of how to manage a dynamic team such as Inter. And then you can also say, for those who may have, the much vilified players of the Premier League, the likes of Lukaku, Alexis Sanchez, all playing their hearts out in Inter, you'd know it's been an interesting and very successful journey until the final. But yeah, doesn't have a lot of hope and confidence in how they have played under Lopetegui. And I think that the former Real Madrid manager will want to take this quite seriously so that he could prove to a lot of his critics that he's actually got what it takes to be a manager and succeed in Europe. So it is a matchup. So they have got quite a reputation, in Europa League, and so that's something that will come to play as well. So he's got everything working perfectly for him. Spain or Spanish teams have been dominating the Europa League in recent times, and so these are encouraging facts for Lopetegui to come up with something really special to outwit an Imperial Conte in the competition this season.
All right, let's wrap up the conversation with some bit of transfer gossip or rumor, as it were. So Sky Sports is saying Manchester United have held discussions with representatives of Lille centre-back Gabriel. Even though Arsenal remain clear favourites, there were reports that Arsenal might announce the signing of the 22-year-old defender sometime this week. Some even said perhaps today. But we now hear Napoli are also interested in signing Gabriel. And now these three teams surely are in need of a centre-half when you consider their goal concession record last season. But is Gabriel the solution to their defensive woes?
Okay, so Bimbo, these teams that I've noticed going after this great defender have got one thing in common, and they're actually pursuing it, and I'm really happy to see that they're showing a bit of seriousness in that department. If you could recall, I mentioned to you that there is a practical evolution in football, and when it comes to defending now with the centre half or the centre backs, everybody wants to have a footballer who will not only be committed to keeping the goals safe or protecting the goalkeeper and what have you, blah, 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 like they say. They want someone who can also be dynamic with the ball, who is pacey and, of course, intuitive. You can lead or start the offensive move or intention of a club. So all these are qualities many centre backs are showing now, and of course they're gaining the radar or are getting favoured because of the style of football many managers are hoping to play. So Gabriel fits this particular description, Bimbo, and I think it's just like it's like Koulibaly, but more assertive than Koulibaly for Napoli, and the chances of Koulibaly staying at Napoli for the coming season are quite slim, as you know. We have a couple of teams coming for Koulibaly, and of course for Napoli, Gabriel will be a better and of course a step up. I would say a lot of people may not agree with me for Koulibaly if he leaves Napoli, and for Arsenal, of course, they're in dire need of someone who can be level-headed, and of course who can actually lead things from the back with agility and of course concentration. So if we put all of these things together, I think it's about one of the hottest players on the transfer market in the defensive department in this coming this season. So I think for anyone is a man, but I would like Arsenal to pick up Gabriel. I think it's one person who can bring a bit of calm to their defensive problems.
Well, statistically, even though Napoli are playing, in another league, they look like the team that needs a defender the most. After conceding 50 goals last season, Arsenal conceded 48, Manchester United conceded 36. Thank you so much, Titus, for being with us this morning. Really, really value your contributions.
Thank you very much, Bimbo.
Now let's look at some other stories. A Forbes magazine research has showed that the world's 9 highest earning sportswomen over the past year are all tennis players. Japan's Naomi Osaka tops the list with earnings of $37.4 million. This is $1.4 million ahead of Serena Williams, who earned $36 million over the past year. World number 1 Ashley Barty is third with an income of $13.1 million. United States international footballer Alex Morgan is the only athlete from outside tennis in the top 10, earning $4.6 million. And this man has made history. Ndubisi Egbo has become the first African to manage a team in the UEFA Champions League after winning his debut game in the competition. Egbo's FK Tirana defeated Georgia's Dynamo Tbilisi in their 2020-2021 UEFA Champions League first round qualifying tie. That game was played on Wednesday. The Nigerian manager, who made history last month as the first African to win a top-flight league title in Europe, has now set another benchmark. Tirana will face Red Star Belgrade next Tuesday. Egbo is a former Nigerian international. He played in 2 African Cup of Nations tournaments in 2000 and 2002 with the Super Eagles. So that's our show for this lifestyle edition of Breakfast Connect. The conversation actually continues on social media. We can take it there on Twitter at Africa Biz Radio. You can use the hashtag Spot the Money, and you can also tweet at me personally at Bimbola Oyele, and on IG I am also Bimbola Oyele. Until our next episode, have a sportastic weekend.